TFN Film Study is presented by PAM Health, the official rehabilitation partner of Penn State Football. PAM Health provides elite-level inpatient and outpatient physical care at over 70 hospitals across the country. Learn more at pamhealth.com.
Welcome into another TFN Film Study brought to you by PAM Health, and we are back with part 2 of Taylor Mauser Run Game Film Study. This guy has one of the most unique, diverse run games out there. You saw that in part 1. This is the reason we had to split it up into 2 parts. And so today, we're going to dive into 2 pieces of his run game. First off, we're going to go into his 4th down run game, and specifically his 4th and short run game. Iowa State, since Taylor Mauser took over as offensive coordinator, has had one of the best 4th down conversion rates across all of college football. And then secondly, we're going to look at halfback direct, a specific run concept that's really going to showcase Taylor Mauser's ability to adapt as the season goes on and add wrinkles to a play and make it look different each time, but it's still the same play at heart. This is going to be a fun one. If you guys are enjoying all this content, hit that subscribe button so you do not miss out on another video. But without further ado, let's roll the tape. All right, we're going to start out with Taylor Mauser's 4th down run game, and more specifically, his 4th and short run game, because his time as offensive coordinator at Iowa State, he led some of the best 4th down conversion offenses in all of college football, and really it was because his willingness to take calculated risks. So let's talk about this play right here. So you come out and you are in 14 personnel. That is 1 running back, 4 tight ends. You got these 2 sniffers. We call them sniffer because they're lined up right on the backside of these guys on the line of scrimmage. Now what you're going to see is you're going to see Halfback go this clap. Boom. And there's really no play called. You maybe try to get someone to jump off sides, but they don't fully jump. Now, what you're going to see is Beck's eyes snap to the sideline, and everybody else is looking at Beck. Now, this is what we call check with me. Check with me means the quarterback's going to look to the sideline, and he's getting a call from the coaches. The coaches say, hey, here's what we're going to run, and he relays the message to everybody. Hey, we're going to run this speed option to the left. And then, boom, snap the football on 4th down. He's just reading this man. Boom, we pitch that thing out there. Now, let's go a little bit deeper on this. Now, this is something we ran with Mike Yursich in a sense of the check with me. When we'd run that T formation on the goal line, there you'd get up and there would be no play called. You do the clap, and what you're doing is you are buying time for the guys all the way up in the booth to read the defense. And when I say read the defense, they are looking. The guys up in the booth are now signaling down to the coaches on the sideline, who then signal down to Rocco Beck, and they give them the play to run. Now, how we decide what we're going to run here is you split the center down the middle. And what we are looking at is how many guys do we have to the short side of the field? We have 3 guys. That means we're going to run speed option left. If there was 4 guys to the left of the center, then we would not be able to run speed option left, and we have to run something over here to the right. Now, the reason why it's got to be 3 guys is because we only have essentially 3 blockers. So what I mean by this is you have 70 making this block, you got 72 making this block, and then the third blocker, so to speak, is the fact that we're putting this end man as the conflict man. We are reading him. So back to just reading. If he falls down and knifes on Beck, Beck flips this out to Hansen. If he were to follow Hansen, then Beck would go ahead and knife this himself. So we're reading that, but we got that call from the coaches up in the booth. So it's something interesting. It's unique, but it gives us the ability to make sure that the play call is correct. And Beck just does a really good job running this, relaying the information back, and then we're getting out. And great job executing once again this pitch right here. Really, really nice job converting on 4th down. All right, now here we go. 4th and 1 against Kansas State. We get lined up fairly quickly. Once again, you get 4 tight ends, so we are in 14 personnel. You know he loves the heavy sets. And we're going to get the same exact situation. And you're going to see Beck run this thing, except this time he decides to keep the ball. Now let's talk about this from the end zone view. So he gives the fake. Once again, he's like, hey, it's on. And we got the same exact thing. Hey, let's split the center down the middle. And guess what you got? You only have 3 guys to this right side or Beck's left side. So we are going to run that speed option over here to the short side of the field. So we're running this thing. You get some pretty good blocks. And now, once again, this is the conflict defender. We're reading him. He plays outside on the running back. So instead of throwing this speed option to the running back like we did on the last play, now Beck, boom, is going to knife this thing vertical, and he's able to convert this. So just shows that they run this multiple times, but there's also, it can look a little bit different formation with the tight ends, but it's the same exact thing. Boom, we're just keeping the football, knifing vertical right there. All right, it's 4th and 2, and Taylor Mauser comes with the perfect play call, and you bust it open for a touchdown. And this is kind of what I mean by him taking calculated risk. A lot of coaches right here in 4th and 2, they'd say, hey, we're just going to try to run this right up the middle and try to out-physical them. Taylor Mauser, he's going to go what we call down guard lead. So everybody's down, 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 and the guard is pulling around, and we're going to pitch this thing out here to the running back and ends up cutting it right up inside. But like I said, a lot of coaches would be nervous to do this type of play call where there's so many variables of pulling and guys getting their down blocks. But let's talk about why this was the perfect play. It's the alignment. The fact that we have this linebacker off the ball, so I know he's probably not going to shoot this gap off rip. I know that there is space for this guard to pull around, because if we had a 3 technique that was lined up right here, it would be a little bit more risky because this down block needs to happen now, and he might be able to pick off the guard that's pulling around, but it's just a perfect alignment, and you're able to get 3 guys down on these 2, 49 loops over the top. You're able to kind of wall him off this way. The running back just reads this, and you just knife it up vertically. But like I said, just an example of where a lot of coaches would not call something like this. Taylor Mauser says, hey, I'm going to take the chance. I like the alignment that we have. I think this is perfect. So we're going to go for the jugular, and that's what Taylor Mauser does. That's what you're going to have to get used to with this new offensive coordinator, that he is going to go for their throat. All right, we are 4th and 1 against Miami in the bowl game, and you're going to get this check with me again. So Beck's going to go say, hut, and then here we go. Pause, look to the sideline. We are getting the call down from the booth to the coaches and then into Beck. Beck gets the call right here. You see all the eyes are looking at him. He gets the call, begins to relay it, and you can see he's really making sure that everybody gets the call. I don't think there was a call to start the play. He gets the call in, and we're running the same exact thing that we ran on the last play, down guard lead, and you convert. You almost get a touchdown here. Now, what's interesting is, and we talked about before, what are the guys in the booth? What are they reading up there? What we think they're reading here, we can't know for sure, is I think they're reading this 3 technique. So when we get this adjustment and they start to move, I think they are waiting to see, is this 3 technique going to be a 4-eye, or is he going to stay as a 3 technique? Because if he's a 4-eye out here and there is no one anywhere in this gap, I think we would just run H-back dive right up the middle. But since he stays as this 3 tech, they're going to say, hey, we need you to hit this down block, and we're going to pull the guard around. And they just do a really, really nice job blocking this thing up. And I love how just decisive Hansen is right here. So one more time, sped up a little bit. If you watch this, like this can get really jumbled. I mean, look how jumbled up this is right here. And what I love about Hansen that he's bringing to the table is look at him not hesitate. He just runs right through it. A lot of running backs would get a little bit nervous and just bounce that outside once it starts to look jumbled. But you do a great job there. Also, shout out Burkle. Look at this block. Look at him gather this thing, throw this down in, and take his man for a ride. That's what he's bringing as the 3rd tight end, blocking here for Penn State. But overall, really nice play. You get the check with me aspect again. We make sure that we get the call that we like. We know where this defense is aligned. And Taylor Mauser says, hey, 4th and 1, let's do it. Let's go for it. You get the risk taker, and it pays off again. All right, now here's where you get some creativity from Taylor Mauser. You start out in spread on 4th and 1, and then boom, we condense everything down. We get a fullback. Everybody's on the line of scrimmage, and then we run that down guard lead again on 4th and 1, and Carson Hansen does a great job being decisive and just getting vertical on this thing. And this is what you're going to get. Like I said, you're going to get used to this with Taylor Mauser of the I don't give a F. We are just going to run this down your throat. We're going to try to confuse you a little bit. We're not going to get overly cute, but we're going to try to confuse you with the spread to then condensed. And then we're just going to just pound you. And that's what I love about what he does here. And like I said, Carson Hansen, one thing I really like about him is just how vertical he gets in the run game. That was something we didn't have a whole lot of, especially when Nick Singleton was carrying the ball last year. A lot of like indecisiveness. That is not going to be Carson Hansen. But the biggest thing of this play is what it sets up at the end of this TCU game, which came down to the wire. So here we go. It is 20-17. Iowa State has the football. They're up 3. There is just under 2 minutes left, and the ball is on their own 40-yard line, and it's 4th and 1. This is ballsy to go for this year because TCU gets the football back right here, and they could go down, score a touchdown very easily, at least tie this game. Now, what I want you to watch here, everything looks the same. Guess what we're going to get? We are going to get down, 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 guard lead around. We've seen it a bunch, right? Nope. Look at that right there. They go full on fake with Beck. That is a beautiful play. I absolutely love this right here. That is the risk taker that lives within Taylor Mauser. Now, this is what I will say. Like, this is a full-on risk because with this play, and like I said, you set this up. They all see this and they say, hey, remember what happened on fourth down earlier in the game? This is what they're going to run. And it has shades of Iowa this past year where Becht is easy and then we're able to just kneel out the rest of the game. Now, the aspect of this that's a true risk taker is that we are leaving this backside guy unblocked. Like, that is just part of the play. So why it's a risk is we are essentially gambling. We are gambling that this backside DN is going to be so infatuated with the fact that he saw this earlier that he says, hey, I'm going to try to track this down and meet Hansen. And we're not doing that at all. We are faking that thing and Becht's keeping it. So to be clear, I love this, but anytime you are running something like this, you're a genius if it works. But if this defensive end was super high IQ, and let's say he meets Becht right here and it's a sack, and TCU goes down and scores a touchdown, Taylor Mauser then looks like an idiot. So it's one of those instances of a genius when it works, but an idiot when it doesn't. But it just so happens that Taylor Mauser has balls of steel, and it normally works out for him, and that is why they were one of the best fourth down offenses in America.
FTB Film Study is presented by PAM Health, the official rehabilitation partner of Penn State Football. PAM Health provides elite-level inpatient and outpatient physical rehabilitation at over 70 hospitals across the country. We strive to make a meaningful impact in the lives of our patients by facilitating extraordinary outcomes and quality results in a compassionate and caring environment. Learn more at pamhealth.com.
All right, now we're going to talk about halfback direct. And this is a run concept that really shows off Taylor Mauser's ability to adapt and how his concepts are fluid and living, almost like a chef trying to perfect his recipe. You're going to see him add these little wrinkles as the season goes on. So we're going to show you in chronological order and just how he tweaks little things to mess with the defense and make sure that they can't tell what's going on. Over 5 yards per carry when running this in 2025, and they ran it a little over 20 times. So the first thing I want you to notice here, Becht lined up in his normal quarterback position. Now we're going to bring these two tight ends to the other side of the formation. And what that does is it makes everybody communicate on the defense, and they're all worried about the tight ends and how we're going to flip everything. We got to communicate on defense. While that's all going on, you're going to notice Becht subtly take a step to the left, and then here comes the running back to line up right behind the center so he can get the halfback direct snap. But if you notice, nobody on defense is watching that because they are enamored with the fact that the tight ends are moving and we got to communicate. So this is a full-on decoy by Taylor Mauser to be able to get this shift in the backfield where we can get our running back the snap. You get the snap. And you get a little bit of a pin pull. You get down blocks. You pull around. It's not the greatest play over. You get a nice couple yards. But it's more impressive to see how Taylor Mauser is starting to put this together. And then the one other aspect you get out of this is what we call bash. So normally you get the quarterback as the read option man. Now the running back is essentially in the quarterback shoes. So what you're going to get, you see this kind of read option fake. The one thing that does is it holds these backside defenders just a little bit because there is the threat that Rocco Becht could be getting this handoff to go this way. But here we go, pulls this thing. And like I said, you get a nice little gain right here. All right, so that last play was against Miami in the 2024 bowl game. Now we're Kansas State week 0, 2025. And one thing I want you to notice is we're going to run halfback direct, but the alignment's going to be a little bit different. If you see where Becht is, his right foot is on the center's left foot. Hansen's left foot is on the center's right foot. So we kind of have this gap now where when we do bring everybody over from one side to the other side, you're going to notice there's no movement in the backfield. We're just staying where we're at. Now, we still have the aspect of everybody has to communicate. We always want to put stress on a defense, but this wasn't done to necessarily mask anything going on in the backfield this time. Taylor Mauser throughout the offseason said, hey, we're just going to line up like this, and we're just going to put the snap right down the middle, and Hansen has to catch this thing. Now, this can be a little bit problematic at times, and you could deal with a running back that doesn't normally have to take snaps, and you saw he kind of had to jump over to catch that thing. But then we're going to run counter back this way. And you're going to notice it gets blown up. You get like 2-yard gain here. And now this is where I'll say that Taylor Mauser, you see at times, can get a little bit too cute. Because if you remember the first run game series that we did in the last episode that we talked about super counter, where you got 1 puller, 2 puller, 3 puller. And now what's hard is you're going to see Hansen. He really has to slow down and let this 3rd puller go. Like he really has to wait. It gets messy. You get 2 blockers on 1, no one on 9. And it's like, okay, that got blown up. So running halfback direct with a super counter, I think Taylor Mauser walked away from this game saying, okay, I got way too cute with that play. We need to figure out how to fix that and get better with it. All right, so now 4 weeks later against Arkansas State, you're going to see Beck right over top of the center, and you do the same thing where you're going to move these tight ends around a little bit. He comes down, he condenses down over here, and you're going to see Rocco Beck take a slight step out here to the left, our right. Now, you're going to notice Carson Hansen stays right where he is at. So I think kind of the coaching point that Mauser's now looking at is, hey, how can we do as minimal backfield movement as possible? And this was his answer. Now, once again, talking about being problematic, I don't love the fact that the center, and this is what he's told to do, to snap the ball right here and snapping the ball right into a gap. Now, the coaching point that I'm sure they gave Carson Hansen is, hey, you need to jump into this gap. Watch him. You're going to see Carson Hansen when we get this snap, and he jumps over to really meet where that ball should be. So good coaching points to work on what he wants to run here. Now, you're going to notice you're going to run counter. Last play, we ran that super counter, and Taylor Mauser said, hey, that was a little bit too cute. So he's playing around with the backfield motion and how we're going to move around to see how, can we disguise it enough where the defense doesn't realize it. But I love that he fixes the fact that, hey, I ran super counter. I thought that was too cute. They never ran super counter again with this play. They only ran counter where we're going to pull two guys around, and it's actually a really well-blocked play. We get both pulls, really nice job, and you get the knife here from Carson Hansen. But that's a tip of the cap to Taylor Mauser to be able to go back. And like I said, I think a lot of us were saying that last year. Getting too cute. Stop getting too cute with Koto Nicki. Taylor Mauser has the ability to recognize, look within, and say, hey, I can't do that. I got to be better. How can we make this more simple for our guys? All right, now here we go. Later in the season against BYU, Taylor Mauser wants to run halfback direct once again. Ran it a couple times in this game that you're going to see, but runs counter and does a really, really nice job setting this thing up. But let's talk again about the evolution of this play throughout the season. How did Taylor Mauser change this? So we put that on tape against Arkansas State. And so now for this defense, I guarantee you that is on their prep sheet from their defensive coordinator. They said, hey, watch this halfback direct thing. So how can we be a little bit different? We're going to go dummy call where we all get up and there's really no play call for any of these guys. You're going to get a little set hut by Rocco Beck, and now you see kind of steps forward a little bit. He's given this a little hand motion saying it's on, it's on, it's on, and you're going to notice as he's doing that, starts to slowly and very subtly step to the side, and Carson Hansen motions over just a little bit, and now we're back in that formation where his right foot is on the center's left foot, his left foot is on the center's right foot, so we have that gap once again. So now, here we go. We're going to go set hut. It goes straight to Carson Hansen. You get that bash right here that we talked about earlier to kind of hold all these backside guys. And then we're going to pull two around on counter. Carson Hansen does a great job jabbing inside and then jabbing back outside. And then we're going to use that speed to get to the outside. Now, one thing I really like is like how much the offensive line sells this. Like they all get up, they're all looking in. It allows the defense, like they're all like pointing over here. They're looking at the center, the tight end, the tackle, like all that stuff. Everybody does a great job of being actors on this play. And I think that was really stressed by Taylor Mauser. Hey guys, we got to act. We got to sell this thing. So another evolution of the halfback direct. All right, so same game against BYU. We want to run halfback direct once again, and you're going to see the same thing where Beck steps up a little bit. He gives the hand signals. He's going to step to the side, and then Hansen's going to step to the left as well. And one thing I want you to see right here, 17, he points it out. He says, hey, Beck motioned over. Here comes the halfback direct. So BYU is now starting to figure this out. 30, points at Hansen, says, yep, halfback direct. Here it comes. So they have sniffed it out now at this point. Now, you still get a pretty good play out of it. You get a nice gain, but it's clear that BYU, like this is not going to work on them anymore. They are understanding, and they talked about it on the sideline. Hey, when they do that motion and he does that hand signal, here comes halfback direct. And once again, here is a little bit of the worry of doing this where you have this foot-to-foot alignment, and you're a little wide right here, but you have this gap. If the center doesn't have a perfect snap where it's really low and down, Carson Hansen has to reach for that, a guy that doesn't always catch snaps every single day, but does a good job corralling it. You get that bash fake from the quarterback coming this way, and you pull two guys around coming the opposite way. So overall, a nice run. I will say right here, Carson Hansen, one thing I would love if he could knife this off of his blocker. So if you watch, when he takes a snap, you got to wait a little bit because you got pullers. You got to let them get around. But we get to this point, fully flips his hips. Let's go ahead and cut off our blocker and get one-on-one with the safety that's over top. Because if you were Saquon Barkley, sure, we get to the outside. But you're a white running back. Let's be honest. You don't got the top end speed. Let's take what we got with our blockers and use our blockers and cut right off of that. So Hansen does a really good job overall on a lot of the stuff in this video. But hey, let's cut off that block, use our blockers where we got them. So here we go, still even later in the BYU game, and Taylor Mauser says, hey, I want to run halfback direct. So we're right on the 3-yard line. You get a big play. So they get up on the line of scrimmage fairly quickly. They snap the ball right to Hansen, and we knife it vertical. So this is him adapting in-game. He said, okay, I want to run halfback direct, but I don't want to do that whole Beck step up with the hand signals because now they'll know. 17 will point that out, and they'll be on top of that thing. So instead, we're just going to line up right here in that formation where we're foot to foot. We have the gap right here, and we're just going to snap the ball straight to Hansen and allow him to just knife vertical. So that is adapting on the sidelines. You get the tight end coming across on this split flow, and you get in there for a touchdown. So it was just cool to watch this halfback direct evolve over the season, and then even in game with BYU of him saying, okay, we've been found out. What can we do when we want to run this in a situation? Let's just get up on the ball and let's go fast and not give them any time to realize what's going on. Love this stuff from Taylor Mauser and how innovative he is as a play caller.